Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 12, Episodes 4 and 5. I know I'm late, but you guys know the deal. I was in Mexico last weekend for my friend's fabulous destination wedding, and when I tell you I had the time of my life, so the recaps got put to the back burner. But we are back. Now, a quick disclaimer, I'm not going to go over everything that happened in episode 4 because I really want to jump into what happened in episode 5 because, child, that fight that almost occurred between Melissa and Jennifer, I have some choice words. So with all that being said, let's just jump right on into these recaps because we don't have a minute to spare. Now, we start off episode 4 with a continuation of Dolores and Jackie fighting. Remember how Dolores rolled up on Jackie like she wanted to fight?
There we go. Thank you. And you're going to always get it again and again and again.
Everybody's in shock at what's going on. We see Frank coming over to diffuse the situation, and he's saying how he knew Dolores since she was 19, and she's been a fighter from Patterson ever since. I was just kind of like, that's really nothing to be proud of. But when he was saying that Dolores is getting in bar fights, she was biting through other people's arms, I was like, well, damn. All right. So we see everybody cool off. Dolores is telling Jackie that she doesn't appreciate Jackie questioning her loyalty. And I'm going to be honest, but Dolores is a flip-flopper in my opinion. I feel like she plays both sides of the fence. Just being honest. But I also feel like Dolores is playing both sides of the fence at all times because she doesn't really have a great storyline and she's trying to stay on this show by any means possible. Dolores reminds me a lot of Cynthia Bailey, where Cynthia Bailey coasted for seasons on end after her divorce from Peter. I mean, it was like, now Cynthia, girl, you should have been gone by season 8. But that's a whole different video for a different day. We also see Margaret and Jen talking, and Margaret says, look, Jen, I'm not here to ruin your life, but I do want to call out the double standards because at the end of the day, your husband was just like me. We both stepped out on our marriages. So you calling me all these names, slut-shaming me, along with other things, is just not cool. So Jen has to admit that that's fair. Bill and Margaret are two sides of the same coin. And a quick side note, for everybody who keeps saying that Margaret's wrong because her kids found out, that's not really what happened. Jen has said in recent interviews that her kids found out from Tik Tok that their father had cheated. So to place all this blame on Margaret is really crazy to me. Also, nobody's saying that Margaret is a saint. However, to put the blame on Margaret is ridiculous. At the end of the day, Bill should have never cheated on his wife in the first place. Had he stayed faithful, Jen would not be dealing with all this now. And again, I'm not here for all of Margaret's antics, but let's just be fair. And also, Jen has a very slick mouth as well. And if the tables were turned, let's be real. Jen would have exposed them. We all know that Jen is nosy. It was revealed a few episodes ago that she was digging for information about Evan. So please spare me like Jen is this innocent victim, because Jen gets down and dirty like the rest of them as well, and she really hits below the belt. So we see Margaret and Jen sort of make up. They both agree to leave the past in the past and just start on a clean slate. We see Melissa and Dolores talking. Melissa wants to invite everybody down to the shore, and she's just excited for them to have some fun. We move on to the next scene. Jackie is at a treatment facility for her eating disorder. She says that her kids are noticing, and she wants her kids to see a healthy mom. I'm not going to spend too much time on this scene because it was really sad to see all that Jackie has dealt with and what she's still dealing with now. Hearing that she's always counting calories, hearing how she has always worried about her body image since she was like a kid pretty much. I mean, she said that she was on Weight Watchers when she was in high school, and how once she got thin, she became addicted to the attention she got. So she's chasing that feeling, and I just felt really sad. I'm really praying and hoping that Jackie can overcome this. Hearing how her fingertips go numb, she sometimes feels lightheaded and dizzy. And it's really crazy because looking at Jackie and seeing how she interacts with the group, she's always having a good time for the most part. You would never think that she's dealing with such issues. But again, I really do wish the best for Jackie. I hope she's able to get the help that she needs. I'm happy that her family is by her side, and I really hope that she sees the other side of this. We now move on to a short family scene with Dolores, Frank, and the kids, and Dolores breaks the news to all of them that she and David have parted ways. The kids are shocked, they really like David, and Dolores is sad for them because she didn't realize how close they got. Now, me personally, I felt like, how could anybody be shocked? Like, David was never around. He was always working. I was really shocked at the kids being surprised at David and their mom breaking up. And I was reading that David and Louie's ex-girlfriend are now dating. I was like, wait, what? It screams really desperate for a moment to me, and I don't think that that union is gonna last. Who am I to say that? Because they very well might ride off into the sunset, and David might propose to this woman in 6 months. Meanwhile, Dolores gave him 6 years. But again, I digress. And that's why it's important to leave when you see that you won't be getting what you want. If you want a marriage, if you want a commitment, don't wait around for it, okay? Have a little time limit in your head. Don't say it out loud, but have a time limit in your head. And if it hasn't happened yet...
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
So everybody's down at the shore. Tiki Barber, his boring wife Tracy, Margaret and her husband Joe, Jackie and Evan are all staying with Melissa and Joe. And then we see that Teresa is staying with Jen and Bill because she said that her girls and Louie's parents were staying at her shore house. So that's why she's staying with Jen. And then Dolores and Frank are in their shore house together. So now we see in the next scene that everybody is at the beach and Dolores, Margaret, Teresa, and Jen are all talking. And Dolores has finally revealed that she and David just broke up. So Teresa is upset that Dolores didn't tell her, and you can already tell that there's going to be a rift in their friendship. Now, if you guys are keeping up with the blogs, then you're reading that Teresa and Dolores are currently on the outs, and I think that Teresa didn't invite Dolores to her engagement party or something, but they're not really on speaking terms, and what a shame because they've been best friends for like 25 years. It's just really crazy to me how these reality shows will tear up the closest of friendships. I mean, yes, the money and the traveling and the first class treatment wherever you go and meeting other housewives of other franchises. I mean, that does sound amazing, but there really seems to be a big trade-off because a lot of relationships tend to suffer. But again, let me not go off on a tangent. Dolores reveals that she and David broke up the day of Jackie and Evan's keg party. So that's why she was on 10. I'm like, but sis, that's still not a good excuse to roll up on somebody like you want to fight. And if you were in that bad of a mood, then you should have just stayed home. Again, I've said it time and time again, my misery does not like company. So if I'm in a very nasty mood, I am not leaving the house. So now Dolores goes on to ask, why is Jackie trying to be friends with her? So Jen says, because she knows what it's like to deal with rumors, especially what happened to her last year. So Dolores decides to be super petty for no reason. And she's like, well, do you know what your good friend said about you? She said that Bill should have never stuck his dick in somebody else. Then she continues on by saying that Jackie's playing Jen. So Jen says, wow, she really said that? If she said that, then that's really sick. So Dolores says, I feel the same way. I was disgusted when she said that. That's one of the most vulgar things I've ever heard. So I'm like, Dolores, are you kidding right now? The woman from Paterson, New Jersey, who is sitting here getting into bar fights, you want to say that because Jackie said Bill should not have stuck his dick in somebody else is the worst thing that you've ever heard. Girl, stop. Sis, don't forget, you were married to Frank Catania. And you had revealed, I think it was like 2 seasons ago, that Frank used to call you everything but a child of God when you guys were married. I think he was calling you a see you next Tuesday. So there's nothing worse than that. Jackie said nothing wrong. I would have said the same thing too. Bill should not have stuck his penis in another woman who is not his wife. Period, point blank. And Jen acting like, oh my gosh, she said that? I can't believe her. Who else heard it? I'm like, Jen. And again, you know that if the situation was reversed, you'd be flapping your gums and saying the same thing. Had Evan cheated on Jackie, Jen would have said, oh, what a shame. I mean, he was out here sticking his penis in other people. Like, We know how Jen operates. So for her to act like, oh my gosh, I just can't believe this. Like, me and my virgin ears. Like, she said that? Like, cut the crap. So this boring beach day is over, and everybody goes back to their own shore homes. And we see Teresa at Jen's house, and she gets a call from Louie that he doesn't want to come. So she's like, babe, like, wait a minute, I'm mic'd. And now she comes out of her room and she lets production know that Louie does not want to attend. So while Teresa's having a mini breakdown about Louie not wanting to come, she goes on to text Melissa. So Melissa's back in her shore house. Margaret and Tracy and Jackie are there, out by the pool. And Melissa says, oh my gosh, guys, I just got a text from Teresa, and she just told me to back my boyfriend up. I said, now, Melissa, you know good and well that Teresa did not want you to say anything to anybody else. That text message was for your eyes only. And I'm not saying that Teresa isn't full of it, because she is, but in this instance, you were wrong for sharing that text. Period, point blank. And here's where I get annoyed with Melissa, because she plays these dumb games and then she wants to act like she's also a victim. And Melissa's also another pot stirrer because she doesn't have too much going on. It's been a lot of seasons of Melissa coasting. And let's be real, these last 3 or 4 seasons, Melissa has been grasping at straws for a storyline. She was talking about having another baby at 40. You already have 3 kids. One is already almost college age. So please stop. Then the other storyline was her and Joe having some fake marital issues. Nobody was buying it. It's just like, baby, can you come up with something else? So now we flip back to Teresa having a heated discussion with production, and they're asking her, why doesn't Louie want to come? So Teresa says that Louie does not want to be questioned about his past, and on top of that, he didn't sign up for this. Then she says that he's the love of her life, and everybody in the group wants to sabotage her. So she's really pissed. She goes back in her room, grabs her luggage, and she is in her Range Rover screaming and cursing at production, and we see a to be continued on the screen. So let's just break this last scene down quickly. Teresa, you're very delusional to think that Louie is not going to have to answer some questions because he's not a part of the show. First of all of the husbands on all the franchises are under scrutiny. It is what it is. Louie, in a way, did sign up for this when he got with you. He had ample time to run for the hills if this bothered him. Also, Teresa, you poke and prod and ask questions about other people's lives. You also spread false rumors about other people's marriages, i.e. Jackie and Evan. So how dare you feel like you and your boyfriend are exempt from any questioning? That's not how this works. Teresa has this thing in her head that because she's the OG of her franchise, she's been there since season 1, episode 1, that she's exempt from certain things. And also, it really rubbed me the wrong way hearing how Teresa was talking to production. Like, it's okay to be upset, but when you start cursing at folks, that's when it's a problem. I didn't like that. Talk to people with respect. I said if I was production, I would have cursed her ass out right there. And I would have dared her to say something. I understand that you're the star, sis, but you're also going to talk to me with some respect. Let's be very clear on that. So we go into episode 5 with Teresa speeding off in her pink Range Rover, and Jen is in shock at what just happened. So now we see Jen on the phone with Bill. She's asking him if he's on his way, and he's like, yeah, I'll be there in a few hours. And she's telling him what happened with Teresa, how Teresa left the house abruptly, stormed out of there, and pretty much left her high and dry for this barbecue. She's letting her husband know that she's not excited for this barbecue, and she's a bit anxious. So Bill finally arrives down to the shore. Jen is excited to see him. And can I tell you something? I don't know why I'm just noticing this now, but Bill has some beautiful teeth. I couldn't stop staring when he was smiling. I was like, wow, he really has a gorgeous smile. Bill's not a bad-looking man. I was staring at him closely. I was like, yeah, he's not a bad-looking man. Don't worry, Jen, okay? I have self-respect and self-control. And also, Bill is super anxious about this barbecue too, because now everybody knows his secret. He's not too thrilled about seeing everybody. So now we see everybody show up to Jen and Bill's house. And when I tell you, I started screaming. Melissa, Joe, Margaret, Tracy, Evan, both Joes, they're all there at the front porch. They ring the doorbell. Bill sees them and he goes into the kitchen like, baby, you get the door because I don't want to see none of them. I was like, Bill, don't let anybody have you this nervous, especially not in your home. I'll be damned if I'm walking on eggshells in my own house or in a rental that I'm paying good money for 2 weeks. Not at all. Margaret makes a joke that Bill saw her face out on the porch and he was like, absolutely not. So now Jen lets them in. It's kind of awkward, super tense. Remember that Melissa and Jen don't get along, so it's not the warmest of welcomes. Margaret and Bill are like two ships passing in the night. Margaret wants to say hi to him. Bill's kind of awkward and weird. He kind of ignores her, walks away. And I was like, Margaret, if I were you, I would have said, hey, Bill, can I talk to you for a second? My intention was never to embarrass you, but unfortunately, that's how things played out. And I don't want things to be awkward around you, me, and my husband. So, I want to extend an olive branch and thank you for allowing me into your home. That's just what I would have said. Or maybe I would have paid him dust because I'm petty too. And I don't think I'd be chasing around somebody's husband to talk to me. I'd be like, you know what? If you don't want to talk to me, bro, then, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. So while everybody's in the kitchen, Jen reveals that Teresa stormed out and left the house. So they're like, wait, what? And Jen's like, yeah, because she doesn't want Louie to be questioned. So now Jackie says, well, isn't that funny? Because last year she told me that if the rumors aren't true about Evan, then I should stick by my man because it's not true. So if that's the case, she needs to stand by her man and be around all of us and answer these questions. And Jackie is absolutely correct. There's definitely a double standard in Teresa's mind where she can do and say whatever she wants, but everybody else has to follow the rules. So now they all go outside, the drinks are flowing, and Melissa says, well, this is nice, but it's also very interesting, and it feels like we've come full circle because I never in a million years thought that I would ever be in your house. So now Melissa continues by saying that Jen is mean to her. And then she says, not you, Bill. You've always been sweet to me, but your wife, on the other hand, is very nasty. So, of course, Jen's playing dumb, and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm not mean to you. I just said a few jokes, and I didn't know that you'd be offended by them. So everybody's looking at Jen like, sweetheart, don't do this. Like, let's not. Let's not and say that we did. Jen has an accountability problem. She cannot own up to anything that she does. Just stand in it. Just be like, you know what, girl? We and you have been going at it for a minute. Like, it is what it is. That's all I got. But to out and out lie and say, well, I was just joking and I didn't know you'd be offended. That's unacceptable and it's not the truth. Calling somebody's husband a crook, saying that somebody's self-centered, like, those aren't jokes. You really mean that. So, of course, the vibe is awkward and tense because of Melissa and Jen's exchange. And now Dolores and Frank arrive. So it's an awkward silence. And now they're saved by the dinner because all the food is ready. Now, Jen, I can't stand you, but that is a proper spread. They had hot dogs, hamburgers, some corn on the cob. Honey, they had the lobster. And you know that Jen is all about appearances. So I know they had tons of lobster. And you already know that my mouth was watering. I mean, that lobster looked so fresh.
I love it. I love it.
One day you guys are going to wake up and see that this channel is no longer a Housewives or pop culture channel. It is a food channel, okay? I'm gonna just have all these videos about the best places to eat in different cities. So Dolores and Frank bring up Teresa's absence and they're like, why isn't she here? They're all explaining what happened and Margaret says, this is Teresa's party and she's not even here at her own party. Like, who does that? Now, while they're discussing Teresa, we see a clip of Teresa and Louie in a Sprinter van on their way to Jen and Bill's. Teresa is very protective of her new man because anytime Louie wants to open his mouth and say something, she's like, babe, there's cameras, we're mic'd, like, don't say it, like, wait till the cameras are off, like, just be quiet. And I was like, well, damn, what is he really gonna say? What are you so afraid of? If everything is on the up and up like you say, then why can't this man speak? So we flip back to the party and Teresa and Louie make their grand entrance. Everybody's shocked. Margaret says it's just like Teresa. She leaves in a huff and then comes back like nothing ever happened. So things are super awkward and tense. They're trying to make small talk with Louie, sort of busting his chops, but the tension is just too thick. So now Margaret turns to Jen and she says, Jen, you told us that she left in a huff, but it doesn't seem that way. So Teresa's still sitting there playing dumb and she's like, what? Me? I stormed out? No, I didn't. I didn't say that. I didn't do that. I'm like, Teresa, you do know that when this airs, we're all going to see you flat out lie. You stormed out, you cursed the producers out, you sped off in your car. So why are you going to say that that didn't happen? Jen saw part of the whole mess. So again, why are you lying? So of course Teresa's already on the defense and she's like, well, let's just lay it out on the table. Are you guys talking about me? And let me know now, because if I find out that you guys said something about me behind my back, it's going to be a problem. So Margaret says, it's not that we're talking about you, it's just that we're concerned. So she's like, concerned about what? This man is the love of my life. He doesn't owe any of y'all an explanation about anything. We all have a past. It is what it is. Like, leave him alone. He didn't sign up for it. So now Teresa starts screaming at the top of her lungs. And Louie's trying to calm her down and also interject to say his 2 cents. So he can barely get the words out because Teresa keeps saying, no, no, you don't owe any of them an explanation, like don't say anything, be quiet. And I'm like, Teresa, you do know that you telling him to be quiet makes you look like there might be something to hide. So Teresa's still screaming, and now Louis raises his voice and he's like, enough already, let me speak. He tells Teresa that if she does not stop screaming, he's gonna leave. Now Louis is talking directly to Margaret, and I'm gonna be honest, I did not like the way he was speaking to Margaret. It was real aggressive, and I was like, I need you to take it down several notches, especially when you're talking to a woman. And he really pissed me off when he said to Margaret, like, you don't intimidate me. And I'm like, well, okay, I understand you might be annoyed with her, but all of that was unnecessary. So Margaret says, look, Louis, I just had a few questions about your business. I'm aware that you're a successful man. So now Louis cuts her off and he says, I know I'm successful. You don't need to speak for me. I can speak for myself. So the weird video gets brought up and Louis says, look, I had gone to this retreat and I wanted to apologize to the woman that I was with. Everybody's super confused, and Jackie says in her confessional, are we watching the same video? Because in that video that we all saw, Louis was proposing to that woman. So why is he lying and saying that he was apologizing? Louis concludes his story by saying that the video was released by a thirsty ex who was out to humiliate him. So now Teresa jumps in and she's like, are you guys happy now? Now you guys know the truth. Like, are you happy? Are you done? So Joe Gorga snaps at his sister and he's like, Teresa, what are you mad about? Teresa says, well, I don't like when people gossip about me. So they're all like, now girl, I know you are lying to everybody in here. You are one of the biggest gossips in this group. You are always running your mouth, spreading some rumors, like stop. So Joe is like, now if that isn't the biggest crock of BS that I've ever heard, then I know something. He says, Teresa, we all gossip. Everybody gossips. So let's cut the crap. Then Joe brings up Jen calling him a crook on Instagram, and he says that because Jen said that, he lost out on a major deal. Now, Joe, there have been a lot of rumors about you, and I remember that New York Post article that came out like 2 summers ago where you were allegedly using other people's pictures and pretending like those were your homes that you built and were selling. So I think that there's a little bit of smoke with you, I'm just saying. And no offense, Joe, every time we see you on the show, you're up under your wife, you're with the other husbands. We don't see you doing your contract work like you said you did when you first came on this show. I'm just saying. So of course Teresa is just ignoring whatever points her brother is making, and she automatically starts defending Jen. Teresa says that Margaret came after Jen. So now Jen is screaming at the top of her lungs that she doesn't dig up dirt on people. So they're all like, girl, what? Jackie's like, come again? Because if I recall, you admit at Dolores' housewarming party to trying to get information on my husband. So what are you saying? So now Jen turns to Frank and she says, Frank, you're the one who told my husband about Evan. So Frank is shook. He's sitting there like, I know you did not just drag me into the mess. So now Jackie interjects. She's also screaming. And she's like, Jen, shut up. Because we know good and damn well that if you did find any information about Evan cheating on me, you would have screamed it from the rooftops. And like I've said several times, Jen is very petty and very vindictive as well. So had she heard some information about Evan, she would have told everybody in this group. So while they're screaming at each other, Tiki Barber arrives and he's shocked at all the mess. And again, why are Tiki and Tracy on this cast? And also, I find them to be incredibly boring. And I still can't get over the scandal of how they got together in the first place. But again, I digress. Melissa calls out Teresa and she says, so if Jen digs on other people, that's okay. But God forbid somebody asks a question about you, then it's digging. Like, how does that work? So now Melissa turns her attention on to Jen and she starts screaming that Jen is a hater. And may I just say something? This is just my opinion. Before anybody goes off in those comments, I'm not doing it with y'all today. I'm not doing it with y'all today, okay? I told you I'm standing 10 toes down in everything that I say. So let me just say that. But I've always felt like Jen was a little bit envious of Melissa. And before anybody says, well, how can that be when Jen has more money? Somebody can have more money than you and still be jealous of you. I think that Jen views Melissa as a cool girl. She thinks that she's very sexy, very fun, and she sort of wants to be Melissa. I think it's very strange that every time she comes for Melissa, it's about her looks, it's about how vain she is, it's about how Melissa thinks that she's all that. Just really weird stuff. I could be off base, but this is just my opinion and my assessment of why Melissa and Jen can't seem to get along. I have always sensed that there's some jealousy on Jen's part. And with all the plastic surgery that Jen's having, the BBL, the nose, the boobs, it seems like she's trying to morph into Melissa. Again, just my opinion, I could be wrong, but I've always gotten that Jen is low-key jealous of her. And listen, people could be jealous of your looks, of your lifestyle, of your swag, if you're charismatic, if you have a lot of friends, if you're popular. Like, people can get jealous over the dumbest things. And Jen seems like she's a very insecure woman, and I wouldn't be surprised if she feels some sort of way regarding Melissa, because she's always coming for Melissa about something. So now Jen calls Joe Gorga a bitch, and Melissa is like, wait, what? And I was like, now if somebody called your husband a name, you would be livid. Like, there was no reason for you to call him out his name like that. That was unnecessary and just very uncalled for and just nasty. But like I've said, Jen is a very nasty person, and she has a very reckless mouth as well. So Jen starts screaming that post where she called Joe Gorga a crook, that was retaliation. So now Melissa gets up and she's walking over to Jen, and of course she's screaming, Jen's screaming, and that's always a recipe for disaster. Baby, Jen grabs Melissa's arm, and Melissa's like, are you touching me right now? Did you really put your hands on me? And they're about to fight. All you Jen fans, I want you to give me my propers and say that I'm fair, okay? Don't get on here talking about I'm biased. All right, give me my credit. Melissa, when Jen called Joe a bitch, you should have gotten up and just said, you know what? It's been fun. We're leaving. I'll see you whenever. For you to get up and charge at Jen like you were going to do something, that was uncalled for. That really exacerbated a bad situation. I'm not saying that Jen is a fighter, but she seems to be very feisty, and I think that she would have given you a run for your money. And you need to be careful about the moves that you make when you are in a heated situation like that. The best thing to do is just remove yourself from the situation. All that getting in her face, now if she had slapped you, you would have really been screaming. I don't think that Melissa was prepared for what Jen might have done to her. And because of that, you need to learn how to sit your butt down or just leave. I have very fast reflexes, so, you would have gotten some of this. You would have. I'm going to be honest. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe in violence, but I do believe in self-defense. So, of course, at this point, the barbecue is over. Everything has been ruined. And Melissa, Jackie, Margaret, and Tracy and all the husbands leave. So now it's just Jen, Teresa, and Dolores, and they're talking about what just happened. Dolores says that she hates how the three of them gang up on Jen. Now, I don't see it that way, because Jen has had individual fallouts with all of them. So it's not so much that they're ganging up on her. She's just gotten into it with all of them, and they happen to be friends. And Jen is somebody who seems like she's ready to fight, so please spare me like Jen is some victim who needs saving. She seemed like she's ready to throw some blows if need be. So again, miss me with all that, I don't like how they gang up on her. Like, enough. Jen is a grown woman. She can stand on her own 2 feet and her own 2 fists, apparently. Dolores is really getting on my nerves. She's really becoming unlikable. And I was getting annoyed by her talking about Melissa and Joe and how Teresa's in a pickle because they feel like she doesn't have their backs and Teresa feels the same way. And it was like, Dolores, can you just mind your business? And it's comical that Dolores would say that because Teresa doesn't have her brother or her sister-in-law's backs. So, it's fair game. Teresa had nothing to say when Joe Gorga mentioned how Jen said that he was a crook. Anybody who loves their sibling would check somebody who said that, right? That's kind of foul of Teresa to let Jen slide with that. Again, just my opinion. And I think that that's why Jen and Teresa have this blossoming friendship, because they both have a hard time taking accountability for things that they say and do. And they both want people to blow smoke up their ass and yes them to death. I also fell out when Dolores had the nerve to say that Melissa should not have charged up on Jen because that's an automatic fight. I said, oh, Dolores, the same person who charged up on Jackie at Jackie and Evan's keg party. So if Jackie would have knocked you out, then that would have been okay, right? Because you had no right charging up on her. So now it's the next day and we see Jen and Bill in the kitchen. They're rehashing what happened last night. And when I tell you I couldn't stop laughing because Jen was really giving Bill the business. She was so pissed that he did not defend her last night. She was like, you just sat there. And it's like, I know they were all thinking he didn't even defend her. I was like, Jen, that's the least of your worries. Today is a new day. Just try to have a peaceful one at that, okay? Like, what's done is done. You almost got into a fight. Your husband didn't defend you. Hopefully, he does better next time. So now we see Jen, Louie, Teresa, and Bill having breakfast. Jen is thanking Teresa for having her back and sticking up for her. And then she adds that she has no desire to attend Melissa's pink party today. Now, I was like, Jen, that's like quitting after somebody has fired you. Melissa had already uninvited you. So you saying that you're not going, it's like, okay, girl, it's not giving what you thought it was supposed to have gave, in the words of Rolling Ray. So now it's time for Melissa and Joe's pink party. The house is beautifully decorated. Everybody's wearing gorgeous shades of pink. And I love it because pink is my favorite color. I know, right? I'm always wearing black. Black is one of my other favorites, but in the summertime, I love some pink. So anyhow, we see it's a full house of people. Melissa is relieved that Jen and Bill are not there because she wants to have a nice, fun, peaceful time at her own party. I was like, girl, you know that drama always seems to follow at these events. So everybody's there except for Teresa because Teresa's still on her way. And we see Melissa, Dolores, Margaret, Jackie, and Tracy all talking about last night. So Dolores says, Melissa, I have to say, you were wrong for charging at Jen because had you done that to me, I would have hit you. So now Jackie interjects and she says that Jen is a disgusting person. So now Dolores gets really petty and she's like, oh, really, Jackie? Well, that's funny because you were just her friend last week. So Jackie says, yeah, I know I was, but things change and she's shown her true colors. So I'm no longer friends with her. So now Dolores brings up the comment that Jackie made about Bill sticking his dick in another woman. And she's like, I found that to be very crass and very disgusting. I'm like, Dolores, again, you were married to a very crass man who said a lot of stuff. So please, you've heard and seen a lot worse. So knock it off acting like what Jackie said was the worst thing. That's very mild. After this season, I want Dolores to be demoted. Friend of the show, please, because I'm just getting more and more irritated. So now we see Teresa and Louie arrive. Everybody is now in the kitchen and they bring up what happened last night. Joe says that Jen has an evilness to her, and he can't believe that Teresa is even friends with her, especially since she called him a crook. So Teresa says, she's not evil. Do you really think that I would hang around her if she was? I was like, Teresa, you and your brother and your sister-in-law's relationship is not on the best of terms, and we know that you are very vindictive and petty, so you definitely would be friends with somebody who doesn't like them. So stop. I want Teresa to stop playing on our intelligence. So we already know that Teresa can't own up to anything, so she puts it back on Joe. And she says, well, you and Melissa hang out with Margaret, knowing what she said about Louie. So Joe says, she didn't say anything bad. All Margaret did was ask a question. It's not like she called him a crook like your friend called me. So child, when I tell you that I forget about boring Tracy, but Mama said that she wanted a moment and she was going to go for the queen bee. She says to Teresa that Teresa needs to be more vocal in her support. Teresa is pissed, like, who is she to tell me anything? And we know that Teresa has an issue with folks saying anything that she doesn't want to hear. So Tracy, being a newcomer, a friend of the show, and being friends with Joe and Melissa, child, Tracy, I want you to know, you most likely won't be seeing season 13. But nice try. But anyhow, Teresa is pissed. She says that she has her brother and her sister-in-law's backs, and she's just over it. So now Teresa brings out the waterworks, and she says that she does not want to fight with her family, and she storms out the kitchen. I was like, are you really doing this right now, Teresa? I'm just so sick and tired of Teresa getting away with all this poor behavior. And somebody on Twitter said it best. I'm really waiting for the day that Teresa meets her match on this show. The only person who gave her a run for her money was Danielle Staub in those earlier seasons. And Danielle was good and crazy. But I would like to see somebody come on this show who lets Teresa know, girl, I don't care what you say or do. I am unbothered, I am unfazed, and I'm not going to sit here and listen to your BS. Teresa hasn't met her match yet, and that's why she carries on the way she does. But that's the end of the episode, and I have to say that Jersey is really bringing us a quality season. The drama's good, it's right out the gate, and I'm enjoying it. But again, I hope you guys all enjoyed my double recap. And let me know whose side you're on. Are you on Jen's side? Are you on Melissa's side? Do you agree with me that there might be some jealousy on Jen's end with Melissa? I want to hear it all. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.